Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth here. So I wanted to do this quick video just in regards to a recent reminder of a healing experience I had a couple days ago and just share some thoughts on how miracles happen when mindset and spiritual belief are in harmony. So if any of you followed my channel for a while, I believe in all different types of forms of spirituality, but primarily now kind of held a lot of consciousness or having a lot of experiences like Christ consciousness or experiences with Jesus that have brought me closer to Christianity. However, I still have some mystical beliefs based on my past and working in my career with yoga and meditation and seeing how it's helped people heal, specifically things like anxiety, depression, and just break the bonds of the slavery of everyday life, by trying to be somebody that we're not, or living through this material world and being lost in it. And I've bounced back and forth. It's almost like a ping pong ball. Sometimes I've ebbed and flowed in different realms of spirituality, but the one belief that I have right now is just having that main connection to God, or say directly to Jesus, the higher realms. Now, people who studied Reiki believe that somebody like Jesus is just an ascended master, similar on the same scale of Buddha, or an Allah and things like that. And throughout my personal truth of experience, I don't see him like that at all. I see him as being, if he was God incarnated into human experience just to get an understanding of what life is like on planet Earth, I do believe that he was the ultimate being, light bearer, healer, whatever word you want to use, that has ever roamed on this planet. So I work in health and fitness, and I've had to wear a mask and shield for you're going on in March, a year. And working in fitness and teaching classes and being so physically active has allowed me to have the opportunities to have some lung, ear, nose, throat, lung issues. I got pretty sick in August. And what was funny is I've had this, it's like a canker sore or like a big pimple in my mouth on my gum. And I've noticed it there for 3 months. And I think at one point it went away for a little bit and then it came back. And it didn't hurt. There was no pain. It was just more of an annoyance. And so on Friday night, after 7 hours of wearing a mask and a shield, my body's exhausted. I come back and I'm like, what is going on with this canker sore? Because it felt like it got bigger. And I looked in the mirror and I go, oh my God, I did not realize how big this kind of bubble or pimple was in my mouth. It was almost the size of an eraser on the back of a pencil. Maybe not quite that large, but it was getting pretty big. And I kept playing with it with my tongue, and I looked in the mirror and I noticed my right tonsil was so swole. It was almost in level with the midline of my throat and mouth. And I started freaking out because I started reading about certain things, and they were saying canker sores hurt, cancer is not, and Dr. Google can, it always leads to cancer. But I started thinking like, geez, people just develop cancer so easily these days. Like, it can happen to really anyone, especially in this type of environment of just having to breathe in your own bacteria all this time. And so there's so much stuff going on in life right now, and I have more worries to deal with than with this. And I thought, oh God, here we go. Like, another thing to add to the list, got to go to the doctor. And I sat for a moment in peace, and I just didn't intentionally meditate or anything. I just sat on the couch and I said, dear God, or dear Jesus, please come and heal my mouth. I have so much that I have to deal with. Can you please take this away? And I want to wake up in the morning feeling normal. And I woke up kind of probably around 4 or 5 a.m. because that's when my cat starts to wake me up on Saturday morning. And I subconsciously just noticed that my tongue was feeling a smooth gum. There was no bump or lump there. And so when I finally woke up Saturday morning, I went into the mirror and I opened my mouth and I'm like, oh my God, it's gone. And I looked and I was like, oh my God, my tonsil was maybe like 60% less swollen. And I even showed my boyfriend, because when he looked at the kind of cyst or whatever in my mouth, he was like, you need to really go to a doctor. Like, that's pretty big. And the tonsil was swollen. So when I showed him, you know, he was kind of even dumbfounded for a moment, like, wow, this really went down. And then by Sunday night, like, holy crap, it went down again. And mind you, I didn't mention this, but when I got sick in August, I had issues with my right tonsil. I had kind of a lump that was developing on the tonsil, and I developed a form of strep throat. So anyways, I thought, oh God, you know, I've been probably, I don't, you know, who looks in their mouth? Not many people do. And to kind of give a little context, maybe about 4 days earlier, it was either Sunday night going into Monday or Monday night going into Tuesday morning, I don't remember which one, I had a really profound dream that I was back home with my family in Ohio, but however, we were being bombarded in our child home kind of by terrorists or by dark forces. And so as I was watching this, they were bombing, and I thought, oh my God, please, like, I was just channeling the light to protect my family and to hover light over my home. And as everything, the bombings kept getting close, it finally blew up a tree in our yard, and the fire came. And there's a lot more detail that goes on into the story, but pretty much I was standing there with the cops, and they were trying, you know, my dad had to pretend that he was a surgeon to say, like, this is a hospital, that you shouldn't, you know, bomb a place of medical need. And as all these other details were happening in the dream, I remember looking up and I just said, Jesus, if you're with us, send us a sign. And everybody started pointing up to the sky and said, look at it. And the stars kind of turned into little starbursts, basically. And within the starbursts, the entire sky turned into a deck of playing cards. And it was just flashing, almost like you would see like a casino moving the numbers on a board or kind of on a slot machine, how it's like it's moving through a circle, but there's different numbers popping up. So everything was kind of just moving almost like an old style flip calendar. And there was a whole lot more healing energy that happened, or just kind of revelations in that dream that was like, and I remember in the dream I was saying, I go, oh my God, he's here to help us and to heal us. And in my dream, I started lucid dreaming to where I understood that that message was actually in real life. So whether I went through something that was completely accidental or whatever was happening in my mouth was a form of a miracle, I do believe after being, you know, kind of transitioning 16 years of really caring about spirituality and personal growth, is that where I started at the age of 20, I'll be 36 this weekend, is a completely different, I'm in a different place now as I was 16 years ago, and my beliefs evolved and changed. And with having a Virgo moon, my mindset is very logical and rational. And it took a lot of training to get out of that mind and have all this doubt and skepticism to really understand the power of your mindset, and that healing really can happen when you are aligning yourself in the spiritual belief and within a positive mindset. I sometimes still to this day, if I log on to a spiritual awakening Facebook group, I can read certain things and I'm like, that's BS. But you know what? Deep down, a lot of spiritual experiences happen in such a way that is so not even understood by the logical, rational part of the mind. And that's the whole point of a miracle or a belief. It's like I explained this a little bit in my last video. Like, for example, your trajectory in life is to go from point A to point D. And the logical linear movement is very much like you graduate to point B, you graduate to point C, then you finally reach your destination at D. But a miracle happens when you go from point A to point D with skipping B and C. And so I have just, whatever is happening right now in the dark crap on the planet, you know, whatever belief you believe in, I have come to this personal truth that your mindset and your, like deep down, my soul knows the spiritual belief of healing and learning lessons. And so I believe I can heal myself, but I have to ask for that help. Now, maybe one way this, overnight transition of this big ball being in my mouth, being completely gone, and my tonsil now being, probably 60 to 80% less swole than it was on Friday, to me is not necessarily it could be a miracle, but it's just a reminder that we have this personal power of being sovereign beings in addition to the co-creation of life. I don't believe in co-creation from an egotistical realm, such as if you just sit here and say, I want to win the lottery or I want to be a millionaire, like somehow it's just going to magically appear. That's the big disconnect. But I do believe when you are operating in a higher frequency and operating in that belief mode, that things can manifest and happen. A lot of my manifestation, or for example, if I was trying to make sales on Etsy, it just wasn't happening. But when I kind of let go and I was just living life and kind of happy, like sales started coming in. Not a ton, but I've always analyzed this with myself. It's like, being in the moment or being in a higher vibration has attracted a lot more than always trying to push the button and try to reach these goals or sale goals or just try to control life. Whenever I've just stepped back and just let life live, that's when things happen. Other people might say something completely different that counteracts with what I'm saying. None of this makes sense, especially if you're early on in your spiritual journey, because you might not have had these experiences. But the reason why I do believe that mindset and spiritual belief, when in harmony, can create healing or miracles or amazing opportunities, it's because I've been through enough experiences in my life to know that this is my quote unquote truth. I've been in Reiki circles where I've seen people say the same thing at the exact same time to the person, or things that are just so inconceivable because their mindset is in a thought cloud, and they're on a similar wavelength, channeling the energy to put into the person. None of it makes sense. And that's a big part of spiritual journeying. It's not how it's going to happen. The how, somehow the divine helps that, but we have to understand that the why, or that it is possible. So, like I said, the logical part of me, because I can be very negative. Like that's the difficult part about having a Virgo moon, is like watching the news for me is really detrimental to my mental health, because I can just stew and like a sponge suck up all that negative energy and just ruminate in it. And so removing that and being in a more positive mindset, that knowing the truth, but also asking for help and having the belief that it can happen. I mean, if Jesus was a real human being of operating in optimal alignment of God, who is omnipresent and has all these miracle healing capabilities, I believe that this can happen. Earlier in the month in January, my family got COVID and a friend was sending Reiki, and I just remember being so exhausted. I'm like, oh my God. And I fell asleep for like 45 minutes. And when I woke up from the nap, in my mind's eye, I saw a cross with a big sun bursting through the center of the cross. And in my head, I was like, Jesus. And then I fell back asleep. And then I woke up and I saw this message from her online and said, hey, I just, sent Reiki to your family. And the one thing that I'm observing is that everybody needs sleep. And I was, and literally at the same, I had no clue she was doing it at this time. I just knew she was going to send Reiki at some point. And it literally drained me as well. And, but I had that visualization that I had really made me believe that everything is in his hands and that he will help to heal and keep my family safe and healthy and transition them to the most optimal place that they need to be in their work or in their life's journey. So having that skepticism is always necessary, but I think when it comes to your own personal self and truth, you know, you have to kind of break that boundary of skepticism to believe that anything can happen and anything is possible. So I just wanted to share some thoughts. If you are in some form of a healing journey or have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out or put a comment down and I can share some thoughts. But I really do believe that these things happen when the mindset and your spiritual belief or maybe your vibration is in harmony. And it's kind of funny as I'm doing this, looking in the camera, it all comes back to the heart, to that highest vibration of love and truth, and understanding that whatever is going on this planet up in the spiritual realm is a completely different energy. And that's what we've learned from people who've had near-death experiences, is that they experience this blissful love that is so, or this love that has no boundary. And it's a different type of love that they've never encompassed before. They know that if they did choose to go up, that they would be okay and be in a way better place than planet Earth. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. I'd love to hear your situations on any miracles or just, you know, synchronistic things that have happened that have helped you. And there's a bald eagle right out of my window. I get them quite frequently through here, so I've seen them a lot. It is bald eagle season in Seattle. So yeah, wow. That is amazing. And he just landed. Actually, that one, oh, that might be an eagle. Anyways, I'm going to end it here. That might have been a hawk. This is so cool. I've had tons of them today. So he's flying again. Anywho, have a great rest of your day. See you later. Bye-bye.